Today is 5 under 5 and I'm going to pumpkinize. I am making 5 pumpkins for under $5. So check it out and watch how it starts. Hi, my name is Cindy, aka Z9designs. Sit back and watch the design begin. DIY number 1. Door hanger pumpkin. Supplies needed include 4 small wooden pumpkins, wood glue, antique wax, a bead door hanger that I got for 37 cents at Hobby Lobby, hot glue, and acrylic paint in the color plaster. I removed the Love One Another cross and saved it because I'm going to use it at another time. I took the 4 small wooden pumpkins and I glued 2 together and then the other 2 together, and I did that with wood glue. I painted them with acrylic paint in the color plaster. And once that was dry, I took some antique wax and I used paper towel to wipe it on the color plaster. Now it was dry, and I took some fall paper crafts, which is pumpkin clear stickers, and I put one with 2 pumpkins on one side and 1 pumpkin with flowers and some leaves on the other side. The tassel on the hanger was reused, and I put that between the 2 pumpkins. Then what I did is I glued the 2 wooden pumpkins back to back on the jute that came down from the beads. And I hung it on the door, and it is so cute, and it's kind of farmhouse inspired. But the good thing is the cost was approximately $1.50 because the door hanger was only 37 cents. We have a new Hobby Lobby here, and they had a soft opening, trying to help the people out. I don't know. I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble with it being so close. DIY number 2, a faux candle. Supplies needed include a medium-sized pumpkin, tealight, and battery-operated, terracotta acrylic paint, some wire ribbon, clear wax, and matte Mod Podge. Now, I wanted to make a medium-sized pumpkin from Dollar Tree to look like a candle. So you have to let me know how I did. So I painted the pumpkin and also the tea light candle terracotta color, and then I just let it dry. I also had to carve a little opening at the top that was large enough to put a tea light candle inside without it falling to the bottom. So the hole had to be just right, just a little bit snug, but not so snug that you'd push the candle in and it fall to the bottom. So next I brushed on some matte Mod Podge to give it a candle appearance. However, that did not do the trick. I remembered I had some water-based clear wax and thought that would be a better idea to brush that on for a candle-like look. So I put that on and wow, now it really looks like a candle. I put the tea light in the opening, but it had a dark ring around the tea light that I just had to change because it was bothering me. So I went in my stash and I got some wire ribbon and I wrapped it around the tea light, and then I used some Fix All adhesive to keep it around the tea light until it dried. And then I slipped it into the opening, and what a transformation. It looks so high end. So you have to let me know what your thoughts are. And the total cost was approximately $1.75. This is pretty much budget friendly. DIY number 3, a glass tea light pumpkin. The supplies needed include a glass pumpkin, honeycomb alcohol ink, rubbing alcohol, tea light, wire ribbon, and an air dryer. Except, you may not need the air dryer, but I did use it. This is a neat pumpkin look. I found the glass container at Dollar Tree and thought it would make a great pumpkin of some sort. So I squirted some honeycomb alcohol ink inside and I started rotating it until all of the glass was coated. It was a little thick, so I added a little bit of rubbing alcohol, probably a little bit too much, inside to coat the glass more evenly, but I believe that it was just not evaporating quick enough because I was rotating and rotating and rotating. So I went, got my heat gun out, and I began drying up the ink. I just held it right where the opening was. It looks so good, and this is such a budget-friendly DIY. And then I took some wire ribbon and I put it around the mouth of the jar, and then I had put some Fix-All on it as when I found out how big it needed to be, and used my clamps to hold it together. So when it finally dried, I put the wire part on the mouth of the jar, and then I put the tea light on top of the jar lip, and it fit. Not only did it fit, the wire ribbon keeps the tea light from falling out. Turn on the battery-operated tea light and set it on top of the candlestick, and you kind of have a old world look. This is a steal at $1.75. And let me know if you would like to try this. 5 Under 5 is hosted by Farm Charm Chic. These are gifted DIYers and women. So be sure to subscribe, like, save, and comment on their channels. And the link to their channels is in the description box below. Now, there are other pumpkin makers that are showing you what they can make. So be sure to check out their channels. The link to the playlist is in the description box below. Okay, now on to DIY number 4, air-dried clay tray, or to be a candle holder. Supplies needed include air-dried clay, plastic pumpkin tray mold, sandpaper, parchment paper, a rolling pin, and an X-Acto knife. Now, I saw this done on another channel, and I thought I would give it a try. And I think it was Fia Garcia DIY. I had some Sculpey air-dried clay that was terracotta colored, so therefore I didn't have to paint it. I got a big ball of clay, and I put it on some parchment paper, and then I rolled it until it was flat, but not paper thin. And as you can see, I had to add to it to fit it inside the plastic pumpkin bowl, which I use as a mold. Once it got large enough, I cut around the pumpkin bowl with my X-Acto knife. I put it into the pumpkin mold, and then I just ran my fingers down to make the molded ribs. And I put it inside, I put it on the outside. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with it. I finally left it inside. I let it dry for about 3 days and then removed it from the mold. Then I set it outside in the sun for a little bit and I brought it in. But it was about good 3, maybe 3.5 days. Finally, it was hard enough. It was dry. I sanded the edges and I styled it. You can put a candle on top, or you can put candies inside. And the cost is approximately $4, but I still stayed under the $5. But this is the most expensive one, but I think it turned out fabulous. On to my last DIY. DIY number 5, a blue pumpkin. You probably are saying, a blue pumpkin? Pumpkins aren't blue. Well, in actuality, they may not be this dark blue, but I've seen some lighter blue pumpkins that grow out in the field. Now, the supplies needed here include 1 larger Dollar Tree pumpkin, some air-dried clay, and leaf and flower mold, and the bright blue acrylic paint, and some rub and buff silver leaf. Now, this pumpkin is for someone who has blue in their home, and it will look very nice on their coffee table or credenza or anywhere in their home for that matters. Air-dried clay was put in a leaf and flower mold. However, I put some cornstarch in the mold because that would help to remove the leaves and the flowers much better. And then it was removed and glued with wood glue. The flower was glued to the middle of the pumpkin. And then I just scattered the leaves around the top. Now, there were some larger leaves and some smaller leaves, and I just kind of alternated them and glued them down with wood glue. Now, I got this pumpkin from Dollar Tree and I painted it bright blue. Now, that was very, very tough because the pumpkin was shiny and the paint did not want to stick to it. And I thought about it. I should have sanded it first to get a little bit of that shine off, and then the paint would have adhered better. But anyway, I put 2 coats on the pumpkin, and then I added some baking soda because then the paint would stick better, and it would also give the pumpkin some texture. When the pumpkin was dry, I used silver leaf rub and buff on the flowers and the leaves. And I think it turned out so beautiful. And I also put a hint of the silver on the ribs of the pumpkin. After that, I found a stem or peduncle in my stash, and I wiped the silver leaf rub and buff with my finger painting. This project only cost me $2, and I think it looks great. Maybe an old world look, antique look. So, if you've liked what you've seen, be sure to subscribe, like, save, and comment. Crafting is challenging, but also very rewarding. In fact, it has been said that if you do an art activity a month, it increases your life expectancy by 10 years. That's incredible. Of course, you must exercise, get your rest, and eat healthy also. Drink your water too. I always enjoy encouraging comments. Also, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Facebook. And thanks so much for watching each week. I appreciate it. I need to boost up my subscribers. So if you could help me with that, I would love that. And remember, for every minute you remain angry, you give up 60 seconds of peace of mind. This is by Ralph Waldo Emerson. See you later. Bye-bye.